Imagine a classroom where students are more curious than confused, more engaged than apathetic. Paano kaya tayo makakapag-create ng ganitong environment sa ating classroom someday? Well, that's the question that we will answer in this presentation. Welcome everyone to our presentation on inquiry-based teaching strategy. I'm your teacher, Mia, and it's a pleasure to be your teacher today. Alongside with me are two fantastic co-presenters, Teacher Carla and Teacher Vaniel, who will be sharing their expertise and knowledge regarding our topic, inquiry-based teaching strategy. In this presentation, we will take you through the introduction of the inquiry-based teaching, the significance of implementing inquiry-based teaching strategy, and also the strategies or tips to encourage our students to ask questions. Fourth is the inquiry process itself, and lastly, the questioning techniques. With that introduction, let's now move on in defining first the word inquiry. What do we mean when we say inquiry? I'll be giving you 30 seconds to think and answer. You can give me a word or any phrase that you think define the word inquiry. You can type your answer below on the comment box. Okay, all set? Thank you for your ideas and answers. Let's define now what is inquiry. According to Merriam-Webster, inquiry is a request for information, while in Oxford Dictionary, it is an act for asking information. So basically, they are just pertaining to the same definition that when we say inquiry, you are asking questions, you are seeking information to learn more about something. Teacher, what's the difference between inquiry and inquire? The difference is when we say inquiry, it is or we are pertaining to a noun. Well, when we say inquire, it is a verb which is actually an action word, and it is the action or it is the act of questioning. Now that you already know what inquiry is, today I want you to explore an innovative and effective approach to teaching that can truly transform the way we engage our future students. It's called inquiry-based teaching strategy. As aspiring educators, it's really crucial for us to understand this principle and benefits of this approach, as it has the potential to make a significant impact on our classroom and to our future students. We will, or to our future students that we will inspire someday or motivate someday. And so let's start. Allow me to give you some brief introductory or information first on what is inquiry-based teaching strategy. I want you to be familiarized first on what is inquiry-based teaching strategy before we go or before we dive to the tips or strategies on how we can implement this teaching approach. So, what is the importance or benefits of applying this strategy to your students will also be tackled. And also, I'll be giving you some tips on how you can utilize this teaching approach or teaching strategy in your class someday or even in your teaching demonstrations or reports. At the heart of inquiry-based teaching is the art of questioning. When we talk about inquiry-based teaching, always remember the word questioning or seeking answers or asking questions, because those are the words that you will mostly hear on this presentation, because that is inquiry-based teaching all about. So in the inquiry-based approach, students are not merely given answers by teachers. Instead, they are motivated to seek answers themselves. This may involve conducting research, experimenting, and engaging in critical thinking to discover solutions to their questions. Inquiry-based teaching is a centered approach that empowers learners to be active participants in their education. It goes beyond rote memorization. At the heart of inquiry based teaching is the art of questioning. Always remember that when we talk about inquiry based teaching strategy, we are always talking about or we are always pertaining to the art of questioning. So that is the word that you will most likely encounter when we talk about this inquiry-based teaching strategy. So inquiry-based teaching strategy involve conducting research or experimenting and engaging in critical thinking to discover solutions to their questions. An inquiry-based teaching approach also, students are not merely given answers by the teachers. Instead, they are motivated to seek answers themselves. Another is inquiry-based teaching is a student-centered approach that empowers learners to be active participants in their education. It goes beyond rote memorization and encourages the development of essential skills, including critical thinking, problem solving, and a deep-seated curiosity for knowledge. This approach aligns with the idea that education is not about transferring information, but about equipping students with the tools they need to explore, they need to learn and adopt throughout their lives. Okay, since you have already the understanding on what is inquiry-based teaching, it's time to highlight its significance or importance in general, not just in teaching social studies. So first significance or first benefits of implementing inquiry-based teaching strategy is active learning. Inquiry-based teaching promotes active learning. Why? Because in this teaching strategy, students are hands-on participants. They are not just simply listener, they are not just simply a learner sitting on their chairs, but during the educational process, remember the philosophy of John Dewey. They learn by doing, experimenting and actively engaging with the subject matter instead of just plain discussion and paper and pencil test. When students actively participate in hands-on activities, they are most likely engaged in the learning process. This engagement helps maintain their interest and motivation, making learner more enjoyable, especially they are primary students. Second benefit or second advantage of inquiry-based teaching is critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Through asking questions and seeking answers, students develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. They learn to analyze information. Second benefit or second advantage of implementing inquiry-based teaching strategy is fostering critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Through asking questions and seeking answers, students develop critical thinking and problem-solving skills. They learn to analyze information, synthesize knowledge, and make informed decisions, which are valuable life skills, of course. And in addition, an inquiry-based teaching strategy, your goal as a teacher is not just to encourage your student to ask the question. Remember that they need also to assess every information that they have gathered after they answered the question or after their question was already answered. And the goal is for them to classify things whether it's right or wrong. While at the same time, their problem-solving skills also develops because they think of a question based from a situation or certain thing that they do want to know. Third advantage or benefits of implementing or facilitating inquiry-based teaching is it empowers students. In what way inquiry-based empowers students? Inquiry-based teaching shifts the role of the student from a passive receiver information to an active participant in the learning process. It empowers students to take control of their education, fostering a sense of ownership and responsibility for their learning journey. Inquiry-based teaching empowers students by encouraging them to ask questions, seek answers, and explore topics independently. Because when they learn to ask questions or seek answer independently, they tend to become more self-directed and confident learners. Fourth benefit or fourth advantage of implementing inquiry-based teaching strategy is it fosters multidisciplinary learning. If you're not yet familiar with multidisciplinary learning, also known as interdisciplinary learning, is an educational approach that involves the integration of knowledge, methods, or concepts from multiple academic disciplines or subject areas. So, to better understand what multidisciplinary learning is, let me give you an example. So, for instance, the country's cultural festival is your lesson or discussion. So, Pahiyas Festival, to be specific, in Lukban, Quezon. So, that's our topic. First, students will learn about the historical and cultural significance of the Pahiyas Festival, including its origins, traditions, and the role it plays in celebrating the local culture. So that is already history and culture, which is one of the disciplines of social studies. At the same time, you can integrate geography with the same topic by discussing about the geographical location of Lukban and surrounding areas, exploring the region terrain, climate, and its impact on the local agriculture, which is often featured in the festival itself. How about in arts and music? So if you will integrate arts and music, you can integrate this subject by encouraging students to create artwork or perform traditional music and dances that are part of a festival's celebration. This allows them to appreciate the artistic and creative aspects of the culture. So it's just like you are integrating the same topic in different studies or different subject areas. So that learning is not just isolating in one area, but it creates multidisciplinary learning. Remember, when we say multi, we have a different variety, or we have not just one. Lastly, inquiry-based teaching strategy also fosters curiosity and lifelong learning. Basically, when a student asks, you can already see that this student is curious of something. If you have any younger siblings or nephew, isn't it you can observe that they are always asking, even if it's just a simple question? But for them, it's really a question that must be answered. So, and if you are in this situation, just answer. Don't be mad because they are always asking, because if you did, it discouraged them to learn. Moreover, when we implement inquiry-based learning, it promotes lifelong learning because it should not just happen inside the classroom, but it must also extend beyond the classroom and throughout their lives. In summary or in conclusion, implementing inquiry-based teaching in social studies for elementary students is important because it is not only enhances their understanding, but also equips them with critical thinking skills, a sense of curiosity, and a deeper appreciation for the world around them and for the subject itself. This approach prepares students to be informed, engaged, and active members of society. Now that you already know the importance of implementing inquiry-based teaching strategy, I will now provide you with some of the tips or strategies for fostering a culture environment where your students feel motivated and empowered to ask questions. Remember, when we talk about inquiry-based teaching, our goal is for our students to build their curiosity, to ask questions, and also to enhance their critical thinking skills. So, number one, create a safe and supportive environment. First is, you must begin with the environment of your students. When we say environment, We're not just talking about the place, the classroom, but also you as a teacher and their peers or classmates. First and foremost, it's crucial that there must be a safe environment to reduce the fear of judgment. Actually, this is an ongoing or this is a growing issue. When students feel safe, they are more likely to ask questions without fear of being judged or criticized by their peers. This promotes an open and non-judgmental atmosphere for learning. Second is it stimulates confidence. If you have a safe environment and supportive environment, it stimulates confidence in a way that it helps build students' confidence in their ability to inquire and seek knowledge. They become more willing to express their curiosity, or in short, they become more enthusiastic. Lastly, if students have safe and supportive environment, you can easily address misconceptions. How? Students may have misconceptions or gaps in their understanding. So therefore, a safe environment allows them to seek clarification and correct any misunderstanding without any embarrassment or judgment. Second is model questioning. Before you expect your students to ask questions, you must show or demonstrate first the art of questioning. But how will you demonstrate this as a teacher? To model questioning effectively, let me give you an example. For instance, your topic is current event analysis. We are still talking about social study. So you, as the teacher, you can say like this. Today, class will look at a current event related to our country. I'm curious about the reasons behind this event and its consequences. Can you think of questions like why is this happening? Or what might happen next? Let's discuss and analyze this event together. See? In that example, the teacher demonstrate a genuine interest in the topic, shares her own questions, and invites students to participate in formulating their inquiries. Third strategies is encourage curiosity. To be able to implement or utilize or facilitate inquiry-based teaching strategy, you must encourage curiosity for your students. So, I bet you will ask again, teacher, how will I facilitate or how will I encourage curiosity? Okay, you can start with your discussion with an intriguing questions. For example, when teaching about ancient civilizations, you might ask, what do you think life was like for people living in ancient Rome? What questions come to mind? You can also share or you can fascinate stories by sharing tales of adventures like the adventures of Marco Polo and his travels along the Silk Road. Lastly, you should also celebrate curiosity. Acknowledge and celebrate students' question and curiosity to make it more clear for your students or to make it clear that asking questions is a valuable part of the learning process and that their interests are appreciated. So by incorporating these strategies, you can create an environment in which curiosity is nurtured and inquiry-based learning becomes more exciting and empowering experience for your students in the field of social studies. Number 4, questioning in games activities. For the fourth tip or strategy in utilizing inquiry-based teaching, of course, nowadays students learn more actively if you are associating it with a game-based approach. So here are some examples on how you can encourage questioning in your class. This first one is actually my own idea and my own example. You can create a box where students can drop a piece of paper with their question written on it. So creating such a box promotes inclusivity by giving every student an opportunity to ask questions, regardless of their confidence level or communication skills. It ensures that even quieter or introverted students have a voice in the learning process. And you can put some twist on it to catch your students' interest, like what I did. I named the box Wonder Vault. Aside from this common example tool, you can also build or create a bulletin board. A bulletin board is a tool where students are encouraged to collaborate and communicate, especially in inquiry-based teaching. A bulletin board can serve as a platform for students to present their finding and their peers, their teachers, and even parents during presentation or exhibitions. It can also facilitate discussions and feedback, fostering a deeper understanding of the inquiry topic. Lastly, you can play scavenger hunt. So if you're not yet familiar with the scavenger hunt, students or kids are actually finding for something that is written on a piece of paper, or like riddles or clues. Scavenger hunt can be a fun and interactive way to foster inquiry-based learning. It can be conducted indoors or outdoors, and you can use clues, riddles, or tasks to guide students to different locations or resources, as this will encourage students to find and explore, analyze, and discover information on their own while applying critical thinking skills. So those are some tips and tools you can use to actively encourage your students to ask questions in game-based manner. Lastly, in implementing inquiry-based teaching strategy, it is important to reflect and discuss. When students reflect on their learning, they think more deeply about the subject matter, connecting new information to their existing knowledge. This process enhances comprehension and retention of the material. Furthermore, reflecting helps consolidate learning by reinforcing what students have encountered in the classroom or throughout their learning process. It aids in moving information from short-term to long-term memory.
Now for our topic, we have the inquiry process. Inquiry process have the four steps. Post real questions, find resources, interpret information, and report findings. Para sa first step, we have the post real question. Dito pumapasok yung ano yung alam mo sa topic, and ano nga ba yung alam mo doon sa question. Ano pa yung mga kailangan mo malaman, and ano yung mga possible na sagot sa question na yun. For our second step, we have the finding resources. Dito ka na maghahanap kung ano yung mga resources na kakailanganin mo na makakatulong sa'yo. Saan ka makakahanap ng mga data na magagamit mo, kung valid pa yung information na mahahanap mo, and syempre, kung sino yung author na responsible doon. Sa third step naman is interpret information. Dito na yung interpret mo na yung mga nag-gather mo na resources, like mga data, kung paano nga ba sila naging relevant sa question mo, paano nila masusupport yung answer mo, and anong mga parts yung masusupport nito sa magiging possible answer mo. Para sa final process, we have report findings. Dito napapasok yung kung ano yung magiging main point mo, and ano nga ba yung mga kailangan pang important information, paano mo ito magagamit to express your message through media, and sino yung magiging possible audience mo.
Questioning techniques. So, bakit nga po ba natin kailangan pag-aralan itong mga iba't ibang questioning techniques? Kasi po, ito po yung mabisa o pinaka-importanting aspect in this strategy. Kailangan ng mga teachers na ma-expose sa iba't ibang paraan na nagtatanong sa mga students para sa ganun matest po natin sila. Kasi, di ba, alam naman po natin na para po malaman natin kung talagang successful yung pagtuturo natin o kung talagang may natututunan ang mga students natin. Kailangan natin silang tanungin o kailangan natin silang i-challenge para sa ganun matest po natin sila. So, simulan natin pag-aralan ang bawat isa, makinig kayong mabuti at magtatanong ako pagkatapos ng discussion natin. So, number 1 is yung might question. This question does not limit the possible responses among the learners. So, dito, walang limit yung mga possible answers or ng mga students or learners. Dito pumapasok yung pag-reason out ng mga student o mas pinapalawak nila yung kanilang mga sagot o kanilang mga sariling opinion. Parang walang maling sagot dito. Kailangan lang is malawak na explanation. Ang mga example dito is what might this history be and what might be the answer that social issue. That's the number 1 might question. The next one is what if question. So dito, inaalaw yung mga learners to think it a totally different perspective that is usually grounded on what they believe in. Kapag naririnig na po natin yung word na what if, pumapasok na sa isip natin yung word na paano kung napapaisip na po tayo agad kung ano yung gagawin natin o yung susunod nating hakbang, di ba? O kung ano yung mga tama natin gawin sa isang sitwasyon. Like for example, question is, paano kung may lindol? Anong kailangan natin gawin? O paano kung naging mayor ka? Ano yung mga ilalatan mong programs o propaganda na i-implement mo para magtiwala muli sa yung mga tao? Yung mga ganong question. Gets naman, di ba? Third po is different role question. Allows the learners to have glimpse of possible roles they might portray in the real world. So, dito, binibigyan po ng chance yung mga learners to evaluate themselves o i-test yung mga kanilang sarili. Example is yung judge ka, bibigyan mo ba yung hatol pabor sa suspect? O yung best example dito is kunwari, teacher ka, tapos trabaho mong i-guide at turuan ng mga students, di ba? Pero minsan, meron ka sobrang kulit na student, sasaktan o papaluin mo ba siya? So, dito na po pumapasok yung mga situational question o yung mga tinatawag na real-life situation na susubok sa kanila kung saan pa o paano nila ito i-apply ng tama sa real world. Mga ganun na gaya ng mga example na nabanggit ko kanina. Naman po is Socratic question, combines all the information mentioned from of questioning. So dito po is pinagsama-sama na lahat ng mga nabanggit kanina. Yung nga pong might question, what if question, and difference role question. Dito po is scholars divided Socratic question into 4 types. Meron napakaloob din ito ang mga yung blood question, distinguished question, midwife question, and ignoramus question. Let's talk about them one by one. Po yung godly question. Allow teachers to ask several questions to push the learners for answers question. So dito po is yung mga example question po. Yan is yung what are the election all about or how important is it people to participate in the election? And what if people were not allowed to vote? What will happen? And the last is when you reach the legal age, will you practice your right to vote? Mga ganong question po. So next is yung string questions lead to a sudden change in the course of question. So dito is mentioned po this is associated to in the situation. For example, question po is yung said that love is the answer. Will love change the situation of the poor and imagine that poverty is not applicable to your case? Would you still pursue your career as an artist? Mga ganun po. Can you give me an example naman po? Question po is midwife question. Used to elicit new ideas to the learners. So from the name of itself po na ginagamit po itong question na to para makapagbigay o makahingi po ng bagong ideas sa mga learners. Example po dyan is that is very good point. Can you elaborate it further? And how might the idea change the lives of Filipinos? And the last question is, what made you say that idea? Parang ganun po. And now, give me an example of that. Ignoramus. So, dito po sa last is parang katulad din po ng midwife question na ginagamit upang makapagbigay ng bagong idea sa mga learners. Ang kaibahan lang po dito is parang nagpapanggap lang yung mga teachers na na hindi po nila alam o maintindihan yung naging topic. Para yung learners mas maingganyo po sila na sumagot o magbigay ng kanilang mga ideas or opinions. Example question po yan is yung I don't understand. Can you further explain it to me? And so do you mean that? And the last is what does answer mean? So parang ganun po. Yung parang nagmamaang sila na hindi nila maintindihan o hindi po nila na-gets, ganun po. Parang mas ma-enhance po nila yung mga students na sumagot o magbigay ng kanilang ideas. So, give me an example from first to last